That's fine. So we're moving on forward to item number 7, correct? And you'd like to do the public comment in advance.
Okay.
Mr. Pejman a gentleman has donated 2 slots for 6 minutes to Mr. Pejman.
Okay. So let's start with him. Bring him. Do you mind coming back up to the podium, please? Thank you, Bob.
Thank you. I won't take up the whole 6 minutes, and I'm not too organized for this because frankly, this item was put on the agenda on Thursday, and to read the whole 68 pages and figure out what's good and bad about it, didn't give me too much time to prepare. However, I would say a couple things. One of them is that the steering committee that has been established for the tourism strategic plan, it's made up of only insiders. So it basically has tourism staff, and it has experienced Scottsdale staff, and somehow on there, 4 of the consultants are mentioned. It's not clear if the consultants are part of that steering committee or not. I'm assuming not. Karen can clarify that. The steering committee is void of stakeholders, of Old Town stakeholders. So that's not a good foundation, in my opinion. And yeah, they're saying that we're interviewing people, we interview stakeholders, and we did surveys and all that. Well, I was part of one of those Zoom meetings. By the way, the consultant didn't come down to actually see the galleries and the area. I don't know if he was in Toronto or somewhere else. And I was not impressed with the questions. However, we gave him a lot of input. Those inputs did not end up anywhere in the recommendations. So you can have all the inputs, you can have thousands of inputs. If you don't include them, to me, that looks like it's just a setup to approve what they wanted to do from the beginning. That's what it looks like. Now, you look at the Old Town portion of this. So Old Town is home to an arts district that's rival with Santa Fe, with Carmel, and all these other places. Old Town also has hundreds of specialty merchants and restaurants that are tourist draws, or iconic tourist draws. So if the city goes and hires a consulting firm, you would think that first they would try to figure out how to capitalize on these assets. But instead, I don't see anything about how they're going to capitalize on those. The major focus is on how to bring new entities into Old Town, which ironically compete with the existing merchants. So let's look at, for example, strategy FE5 mainly, that also has FE3 as a sidekick. So this strategy is to loosen the special events ordinance to enable retail sales and also longer duration of sales. I don't know if the people in this room are familiar with what happened in 2012, 14, 15, 16. Over 300 merchants petitioned the city to revamp the special events ordinance. And in 2016, it got revamped. And I have in my hand here 3 separate petitions totaling the 300 signatures. And what all these petitions say, that the retail sales are harmful to their business and the long events are harmful to it's all here. I sent everybody a link to all these petitions. You can read them. So Karen's group has this knowledge. Experienced Scottsdale has this knowledge. So what do? They put this item back on the plan to loosen it and restart this whole war. I believe this should be rejected and scrapped from this plan, because you have your input already. If input is so important and interviews and all that so important, you have it right here. You want the merchants to re-sign this and give you 300 more signatures? I mean, if you can put us through that effort, but I think the input is right here. Also, this other concept which keeps coming up, we have 50 galleries and artists who produce artwork here. And so the consultant recommends that we bring in a slew of outside artists and pretty much put them on the pedestal. That plan is great for a city like Chandler that doesn't have an arts district. But when you have a world-renowned arts district in Scottsdale, in Old Town, why would you do that? I mean, it's a slap in the face of all the existing stakeholders. Why not just promote them? Finally, this whole concept of the taxing districts. Now, when Karen presented this to the council last month, it was glossed over, sugar-coated. Oh, it is, we have to find some ways to raise money, insinuating it's the bed tax or TDC funds and all that. Then all of a sudden, this is dropped on us that it's a special taxing district. Now, we don't know what that is. If it's for raising marketing funds, then where's the program in this plan that you need the funds for? Is it for us to raise funds to promote competition against us? Well, nobody's going to go for that. And if the funds are for infrastructure or for capital improvements, then frankly, it doesn't belong in a tourism plan. And it shouldn't be within the purview of the Tourism Development Commission to give direction on that. It should go to the Planning Commission. This is very controversial. This is a very controversial item that is going to have a lot of resistance from the property owners in downtown. It's not a minor, and I feel like the way this is presented, little by little by little, we get the gory detail. And finally, there should be a plan to market the existing assets, the galleries, the retailers, the restaurants. It's just not there. There are a few little items pointing to it, but that should be the meat of this plan, plus some new items. So I hope that these items that I mentioned, namely CC1, PE2, and FE5, FE3, and PE6 are going to be rejected out of this plan. I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Again at the podium, please.
You guys all still here?
Welcome back.
To get bored and go home by now. Hey, this is a really good game plan to put in place if you don't have any arts in the city. It's a really good game plan for Mesa to develop a whole entire arts district. This is a game plan that came up about 6 years ago by another consultant. This is not the game plan for somebody that has a really great arts district and how to take what you already have and fertilize it and prune it and grow it and make it even better. This is a game plan where you have nothing and you want to bring something in. So I know that there's a good chance that the commissioners don't have all of the background of what's going on in the arts district for decades. But this stuff keeps coming up over and over and over, and yet the city doesn't even make an attempt to find out, does this already exist? They talk about bringing in new artists. Let's bring in artists that create their own work, and then we can make a signature thing of made in Scottsdale. I can literally think of, I thought of 10 people that own their own gallery, do their own artwork, pay rent, pay taxes, that are already in the arts district, that create their own work. Why doesn't the city go to them and say, hey, let's start branding this made in Scottsdale for you? I personally make jewelry. I make art jewelry. I just made a $75,000 sale the other day. Because of that, I'm making a $100,000 sale with another gentleman. I'm making my own artwork. Somebody come to me and say, hey, this is made in Scottsdale. Let's promote that. Instead, this document by these consultants, which has been brought up before, are trying to do the same kind of thing. I just want to let you know, read this really good and talk to some of the stakeholders. This has been tried over and over again. Nobody's ever come in and said, hey, let's market the heck out of what we've already got. Let's fertilize what we've already got. And I was at the Experience Scottsdale when Karen made this presentation. The whole room applauded. I applauded because they're trying to do something really good. But I guarantee you, if you get a whole room with as many people that were merchants in the Old Town Scottsdale area, she did that same presentation, there would be boos. There would be all sorts of negative comments about it. So it depends on who you're presenting this to. If this can affect your livelihood, you're going to get boos. You're going to get somebody fighting against it. If this is something where, you know, you don't know anything about the background of this whole thing, you're probably going to think this is really cool because they want to try to make things better. But the people that are already there on the ground know that many of these things are not going to make things better. The city of Scottsdale literally should have a non-compete clause with the merchants and retail sales. Every time they have the Center for the Arts and Crafts show, it shuts down our street. Parking's taken up by the people that go there. No shopping gets done. I might as well close every time they have an event in the Center for the Arts. I might as well just close. The city basically closes our businesses. You probably don't even know that, but it's been happening to me for 25 years. The Prada del Sol closes my business down for a whole entire weekend. The food festival closes down for every single time they have that. You guys don't know that, but that actually happens every time there's those events in the Civic Center Plaza. The parking gets taken up by the people that go there. There isn't enough parking for all those people. It isn't that we're trying to keep it from everybody. It's all public parking. But you need to know that these kinds of things that they're talking about in this are not good things for Scottsdale. They're not good things for the tourists. They would be good in Glendale. They'd be good in Mesa. They'd be good in Chandler. They'd be good in places that don't already have what you have. But you have something very, very special. As Bob said, Carmel, you know, Laguna Beach, Santa Fe, they have those things. They treat their galleries and their arts district with a great deal of respect and promote it. But it seems like trying to bring in new people that don't already exist, bring in more retail sales, it's just competing directly with what you already have. I just hope that you look at this and realize what you really already have and make that better. Try to grow that. I mean, I like all the people in the city staff. Individually, I like what they're doing, but when they come in with these outside consultants that do this little playbook that's a different consultant did, it doesn't work with what we've already got. Come in and make what we have better. Don't try to tear it down and get rid of it. Don't plow the field under, let it go foul, you know, dead for 3 years and then plant a new crop. Take the crop you've got and make it grow. And I really think that's what you want. I really do. I think the city staff wants this. I think the consultants want this, but they don't really look into what happens when they do these things. It has a negative effect. So I personally don't want to go out of business because the city's having more retail events.
Good morning, Commissioner Henry and commissioners. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you. I'm here as a member of the COGS, Coalition Greater Scottsdale Board of Directors, but we just got this information on Thursday. My board is like any board. It's trying to catch cats or marbles on a slanted table. No one was available to really take the time to look through this in detail. Of course, they think I'm retired, so I had lots of time to look at this in detail. A couple concerns that I have personally, because since the board has not had an opportunity to meet, and they'll do the courtesy of waiting until they can register for one of your 2 September sessions, your cafe sessions, and then we'll respond as a board after that. But as a person, I have some concerns. I have lived here 57 years. I live downtown now. I used to live in North Scottsdale, and my house has not moved. The first concern that I had was when I read through it, I said, wait a minute. And I started circling arts. There were 5 times arts was combined with culture. I found art gallery 1 time in there. And yet there's a statement that this is a premier location for arts and culture. If it is, it needs to be reflected in this document. It needs to show more support for retaining what we have. And that's what we're hearing from the people who have dedicated their lives to making us successful. So we need to focus more on who we have, where we have it, and how as a city we can support it. And that doesn't just mean marketing. That means infrastructure that the city pays for. These people tax themselves for not only the Civic Center garage, the 123 parking spaces behind Pepperwood, the surface parking behind Panera, and they tax themselves for the original marketing. They've taxed themselves for some streetscape improvements. That's enough. You can't run a mom and pop business and continue to tax yourself to do things that the city should be providing. The city-wide is getting revenue from this. It isn't a matter of let's tax you, you're generating the revenue. This is where the tourists are going to come. All of us, those of us live outside of the downtown, we own this downtown too, and we should be here to support them. So my personal message to you is take a close look at this strategic plan. It's a draft. It's not a final form. That's why there are going to be cafe conversations. Hopefully not just the sticky thing with the poster boards. Let's have a conversation. So I'm just saying to you, the document seems to lack the strong support for retaining and supporting who we have. It also has in there a no-go tax, doing a tax improvement district. And then let's really work on not bringing in competing businesses. These people come in at prime season and they leave, and who's sitting here in the heat of the day when no one's coming through the door? It's our 365-day people that are here. And one last thing I noted in there, and I asked for some clarification on it. It talked about it being a 24/7 city. We almost have that in the bar district. Look how that's turning out. And our mom and pop and small businesses just cannot stay open. A few of them are able to stay open until 7 o'clock at night. But if you and I had to work those kind of hours plus everything else running a business, we'd never make it. We wouldn't be as old as I am. You just wouldn't make it. Thank you.
Okay. Marilyn Atkinson, would you come up to the podium, please? Okay. Thank you, Marilyn.
Thank you. I am president of the Historic Old Town Scottsdale Merchants Association and Property Owners. This came as a little bit of a surprise to us about an assessment district. We've had experience in the past over the years in dealing with and actually approving and supporting assessment districts. This particular one, we will not. It is in direct conflict to our business community. One of the worst things that happens in the downtown area, especially when we're into season, not the shoulder season so much, is parking. And when those streets are blocked off, it's loss of sales. People go up and down the streets and are part of the party, but they're not in the store. We have the largest number of historic buildings in the city in our area. I was very, our board was very upset when they learned about the infrastructure. We know how this works. This has been tried to be pulled on us before. So we've had some background experience. We are not interested in paying for new sewer lines, for any type of water lines, electrical lines. These are large, broad Arizona statutes that cover many, many aspects. We do are asking that when they started this, not at any time were we brought together as with representatives of each area, Fifth Avenue, Old Town, the Arts District, where we included in this process, all of a sudden you're reading that there's going to be maybe an assessment district. That should have been worked hand in hand with us. We are there, like Bob says, and French says, our merchants are there 365 days a year. We pay property tax, sales tax. We have to have business license. We were a merchant. I have the property and I have it leased now. But when I closed that business, it was 71 years old. 71 years we had survived all the ups and downs and turmoil. So we knew something. You don't survive that many years because you woke up one morning and you didn't know anything, although sometimes it feels like that. We are asking that this not go forward, not be considered, that everybody thinks it needs to go back to the drawing board, and we need to have input from the stakeholders directly. We are not going to assess ourselves probably under any circumstances because we can actually be drowned in. They're going to pave the streets, we have to pay for that. They're going to fix the sidewalks, they're going to assess us for that. This is opening up a bucket of worms. It is dangerous, it is expensive, and we can lose our property and our business rights. And I know my time is up, and I see you poking at your watch, so I will go. But thank you very much, and I hope you understand our concern and why none of us are going to be supporting this.
Thank you.
Thank
Madeline.
you.